So I am a few miles outside, a couple of miles outside Ballyhalbert and a mile or so outside Portavogie at a little cottage on the shore, a place called Butterlump. And today's story comes from here. This is John, the new owner of that. Well, he's not the new owner, he's here a few years now. But it relates to this house that John belongs to John, this little, probably a fisherman's cottage in days of yore. And he has come out and given me the original photograph here of the little cottage as it was back in time. The little house at the back that looks pebble dashed there, that was actually a little gospel hall in 1912, and it closed in 1932. And it was owned by various people after that, it was a garage, I think it was used as on some of the owners. And then later on, the two builders we were talking about built this lovely cobble wall behind me and joined on to that and made it all part of one house.
I just want to tell you a story about this wee Bible that my friend and I, Sandy Spears, found. Sandy Spears and I were partners in the building business for about 25 years. Sandy lived in a wee farm just over the hill behind me here in Ballygila. We knew one another all our lives, and we got a wee job renovating a wee house at Butterlump, which is just outside Portavogie. We went down to see the wee job and get it started, but the man that wanted the house done, he wanted a part of the wall done with shore cobbles and shore sand. He wanted the silver sand to be shown. Now we had to find this in the beach, which was a pretty hard job. We had to carry it all off with buckets. First we spent 2 or 3 days building up the stones, then we spent a couple of days searching for the sand. You had to search in certain places. Now Sandy Spears was a stonemason for the Mourne Mountains, and he knew really good sand, and he would have found a spot and then I would have dug it up. We were away out in the beach a good bit, in between rocks, and we were digging down and we got something hard. Sandy Spears said to me, "Stop, Davy, that could be a World War II bomb. It sounds a bit hard." But we cleaned it with our hands. It was just an old trunk. So we prized it open. It took quite a bit of time to get it prized open, and there was nothing in it but what we could see was just a lot of old rags. So we thought, not much, but I put the shovel down into it and felt something hard. Hooked it out then and came out this big bit of cloth, unravelled it, and found this large family Bible. Now I've no idea how it got there, why it was washed up on the beach, why it was buried in the sand. We just found it and that was it. Now Sandy, he said he didn't want the Bible because he had several Bibles in his house, but as I wasn't that long married, I could have the Bible for my house. There was an old piece of garment in it, and there was lovely, lovely buttons. So Sandy cut all the buttons off it and took it home to his wife Martha, because she'd done quite a bit of dressmaking and repairing for her grandchildren, and he thought it would maybe be lovely for a wee coat or something. That's really about the story of the wee Bible. I can't really tell you anything else except that my son, when he was about 7 or 8, they were doing a thing in Kirkson school about old books and all, and he took the Bible with him to the school. Now the headmistress at the school was Mrs. Betty Little, and about 3 years later, when he was leaving the school to go to Glasgow School, I asked to get the Bible back, but unfortunately the Bible wasn't there. It was on loan to a museum in Newcastle upon Tyne, but Betty Little, Mrs. Little, went and got the Bible back, and we have the Bible to this day, and Ivan will be looking at the Bible shortly.
So here we have the old Bible, lovely leather bound, and it's probably 1.5 feet by 1 foot. And here's my hand to give you a little bit of perspective. This is the inside cover of the old Bible. You can see just on the extreme left, Newcastle on March the 26th, 1861. And it was a mother, Eliza Hardy, and she was gifting this to her son and daughter-in-law. It says, "To William, George and Jane Hardy, as a token of love from their affectionate mother, Eliza Hardy." Now, down below that, you see the number, a little sentence here, the number of the watch, 29006. He must have had a watch as well, a valuable one, which was maybe gifted to him as well, along with this Bible. And that seems to be the code number stamped on it. And in the centre of the Bible, between the Old Testament and the New, there are several pages with details of the families here. and this page has the children's names on it. Now, it's showing here that they were baptised in Derby Street, Primitive Methodist Chapel. Just hit the pause button there if you want to view it at your leisure. At any rate, they had 3 children, William Mather Hardy, Thomas Hardy, and 1 girl, Mary Jane Hardy, and they were born between 1861 and 1864. And that is approximately 160 years ago. And their firstborn son only lived 3 weeks and 1 day. A sad account. It really is a mystery as to how this old Bible, in the trunk, wrapped in some clothes, could be found on Butterlump Beach, coming all the way from Newcastle upon Tyne on the eastern side of England. Was it a shipwreck? Were the people emigrating? You could research it yourselves with the information on the screen here. But what I find from the story the most amazing thing is that how could that Bible and clothes have been dry in a chest buried in the sand when the tide would be coming over it daily? That wraps up David's story of the old chest found on Butterlump Beach. But now we'll go to hear a little bit more about the little Gospel Hall. I had gone up to the Pink Brae where the new Gospel Hall, which replaced that, had been built. And while I was photographing the old stone which came out of the original hall, didn't I meet a man called Eric Thompson?
Well, the first Butterlump Hall, it was a wooden structure, and it was built there beside that wee lane along the edge of the shore, and that was moved to Ballygeegan between Cumber and Killalay away well over 100 years ago, maybe 1900s or something like that, and it's still in use. They have Sunday night meetings there and prayer meetings in it, and we put a whole new front in it for them, and the timber is really good, and they still use it as meetings. And we had met the people that has it, and they showed me the first wee offering box that they used at Butterlump. Bobby McClements told me, Bobby McClement that run the Ballyhalbert Gospel Hall told me that William Coffey John McMaster went behind the hedge and prayed that there would be a Gospel Hall built at Butterlump. It was to accommodate the folk from Portavogie, and it was to accommodate the folk for Ballyhalbert, and that was halfway.
Just straight in front of us there, that is the cart track that led to Ballyhalbert. And if we look round to the Portavogie side, this is the road the people would have trudged along coming to that little hall in those gaily winter days. That little lane could tell us a few stories, girl, couldn't it?
My mother and them used to walk down the Warnicks Road and along by McKee's Point, and the people had hurricane lamps then, and she seen the wee lamps. She told me this herself. She seen the wee lamps, a wee lamp here and a wee lamp there in the darkness, and they didn't know who it really was until they all got into the meeting with their lamps, and they blew their lamps out, and that's how that was the near cut, as they say, to Butterlump Gospel Hall. And that Butterlump Hall, when it was very, very bad weather, they had to walk up here where we're standing at the Pinks and walk right over to Ballyaceborough and walk down the Ballyfrench Road, and they walked up Sam Beggs' Lane, and at the corner of Sam Beggs' Lane there's a corner called the Steps Corner, and the wee stones are still in the hedge, and the steps are still in the hedge yet, that the people walked over that, and they walked right down the side of the hedge, to go to Butterlump Hall. That was whenever the weather was very bad and they couldn't get along the shore. There wasn't any motor cars in them days. Everybody went on bicycles or they had to walk. And Mr. Tucker come from the Iron Hall. Mr. Tucker was a Scotchman. He come from Scotland, him and his wife, in a horse-drawn caravan, and he preached in various places in Northern Ireland. He was one of the foundation members of Templemore Hall, and he come from Templemore Hall to Butterlump Hall on a sidecar and motorbike, because whenever he was born he had polio and he wasn't really very good at walking, and the end of his sermons he would say it in most of the sermons, Jesus is coming, no surrender. That was Mr. Tucker, and he said that his initials was W-E-T, that was wet. He says he didn't ever want to be dry, he always wanted to be wet. And that's why that's his name, W.E. Tucker, a real Scotchman. And I have CDs, playable CDs, that you can hear Mr. Tucker preaching at this very time. And this is 2025. And he was in Butterlump Hall in the early 1900s. So that's a year or two ago.
Now, a man from Belfast was holidaying in Glasgow, and I didn't know him from Adam, but he arrived to my door with this lovely Bible, leather bound with brass corners, protectors on it. It was given as a gift to someone in 1854, but he found it in a skip. They were clearing a house out a couple of doors down for him, and he looked in the skip and that Bible was there, and he brought it to me. And you know, I'm even mentioned in it.
So if we look in Romans chapter 3, verse 23, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Well, I certainly have done that. Then we have John chapter 3, verse 3. Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he will never see the kingdom of God. That was me as well. Then we have Romans 10:13. I've done that as well.